Welcome to Inquiry into Self. I'm continuing some videos on my book, What is an Unprincipled Life? Living from the Unknown. So once we open to the idea that our principles, our thoughts and concepts aren't actually true, and that reality itself is more true, then a lot of other things become available. And this is available. This is not a doctrine of what you should think, what you should do, how you should be, nothing like that. I'm just sharing my experience of what became available. If it interests you, I'll share how I got there. That's it. So, saturating goodness is one of the things that became available. That is experiencing this fundamental saturating goodness in the world. Now, again, I'm not advocating this as a truth, as what you have to have. And if your role is to see that things are not good, I mean, absolutely, this mystery that we are is wild. It does not obey any rules. So I'm not advocating a new rule to think that everything is good. So there's no rule. So if your role is to experience things as bad, please, I'm not trying to obstruct your role in any way. And what ended up happening is that I do experience this saturating goodness. That is, when there's no thoughts, or when thoughts aren't relied upon to determine reality, then there's this spontaneous, oh, look this. Oh, look this. And there's a wonder. And while some things that we value may pass away or experience pain, it ends, something else arises. Something else arises, and this wonder turns out to be innate. The curiosity, the interest, turns out to be innate. And a certain love of reality turns out to be innate. Pretty much, no matter how bad things are, there's very few people who say we should just destroy the world and start all over again. Destroy the earth, destroy humanity, we should start all over again. Somehow, there's a valuing, there's a preciousness that wants to continue this. Even if you don't want to come back to earth, but that doesn't mean you want earth to be destroyed. And when somebody does think that, we tend to think that, oh, something happened to them. So there's this innate wonder and there's this innate cherishing that starts to happen when I'm not relying on my thoughts to evaluate reality. There's a curiosity. I had a good friend who ended up dying through cancer, and in his final days, he actually kept wondering wow, and this is now what the body is doing. Oh, wow, and now this is what the body is doing. It was amazing. He just decided it was a waste of time to go into constant assessments. He just thought, well, I'll just be curious. And it turned out he was in wonder. So here's an example that happened to me at a very young age and helped to really ingrain this as an option. So when I was about 3 years old, at night, there were times when in the middle of the night I'd wake up and there'd be this huge pressure on my body. I felt like it was going to suffocate me. I thought that I might die. And I really struggled to breathe, and I was scared, and then it would go away. And one night, turned out I was closing my eyes. One night, I thought, I've got to be brave enough and open my eyes and see what is it that's doing this. And I would always forget in the morning. So I was feeling the pressure. I was barely able to breathe. I wanted to know what was this terrifying thing. I had to open my eyes. I braced myself, opened my eyes, and it was invisible. I could see nothing on top of me. Well, the first thought I had was, oh, well, then an adult can't help me because adults don't know anything about things that are invisible. And the next thought I had was, well, is it really going to kill me? And I honestly didn't know. After all, it never had so far. And when I realized that, there was like this, oh, it hasn't killed me. In fact, it hasn't even harmed me. Huh. So I just became very present to, well, I am getting enough breath to stay alive. It's very difficult, but I am getting enough. I seem to be living through this, and it went away. The next time it came, I did the same thing. Well, there seems to be nothing I can do, but it does seem to be that I'm breathing still. And I'm breathing still, enough to stay alive anyways. And the terror went away. I just got used to it as though I guess this is what happens. And the thing stopped happening. So there is so much awfulizing we add with our thoughts. So much awfulizing. We seem so certain that something shouldn't be happening and life would be better if it were not happening. We see suffering. We see what look like mistakes. We see what looks like waste. We see what looks like disaster. And then we awfulize. We put ourselves in the role of somebody who's suffering and we just imagine terror. And we awfulize and add suffering into the world with all our awfulizing. All our fear, all our anxiety, all our wringing of hands, add suffering into the world. Not that that's wrong. We are the infinite even when we're doing that. But it becomes available to do that less and less. To rely less on our thoughts, our conclusions, our assumptions, and just see, okay, well, this is what's happening. What's going to happen next? And from that place, there's goodness. Now I look back at that 3-year-old experience, I'm really grateful for it. I mean, it was amazing how I learned the capacity to be present. That didn't mean I kept it up in the rest of my life, but in that moment, I gained that capacity and could return to it. So I'm so grateful. We never know, really, when we get the bigger picture, all the things we're going to actually end up being grateful for. So this experience that things seem to be fundamentally good is what has arisen as I've relied less on thoughts and more on just the present, experiencing and manifesting and experiencing to demonstrate to me what is reality. And this sense of saturating goodness has grown. So again, there's no need to have the experience of saturating goodness. It's available. What we are is wild, unpredictable. It doesn't follow our prescriptions. There's no need even to call it good. But it just turns out that when we pay attention to reality, we start to notice. We start to notice other things about it. It seems to have seasons. Things come and go. More energy, less energy. More health, less health. More relationships, less relationships. It seems to have seasons. And we start to notice other things. We just keep noticing these aspects of it. And from that, we get this sense that it doesn't fit in any box. And what is so real, so potent, at least compared to anything that we think, any concept we have, any theory we have, any conclusion we draw, any forecast that we make. So it starts to become more interesting, way more interesting than our assumptions. It's kind of like the parent teaching the child what's a real bear, what's a stuffed bear. I start to realize, wow, all those thoughts I had, all those evaluations, all those conclusions I was drawing, they're like the stuffed bear. But there's a real bear here. So prioritizing reality makes available this very poignant, vibrant sense of what is. And it's so interesting. So if you find this helpful or think others that somebody else might, please like, share, and subscribe.